All right, welcome everyone to the post-stream recording. I asked Roy if he'd be willing to sit in with me and just go over the questions that we had. Apologies to the few that asked in the stream. Your question is not going to make it in because I have no way to figure out what was said. But we will just go down the list of the questions that showed up in the Discord. So you said you're up at the top. If you want to start with a question.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys again. So sorry for those that didn't get it in real time with the lovely Marguerite actually narrating here, and instead you get Zora and me. But we're going to do our best here. So, the first question was actually back after our previous stream. Was will the story be split into seasons?
And what did? Okay, wait.
And I know I'm going to, apologies for everybody here. I'm going to have to look through because our writer did answer some questions in the chat
I
here.
can
And so
I can
I'm
cut
just
out
looking
dead
through.
air. Remember, because this will go. I'll post.
Yep.
I'll post work this. So no worries there. If we have space, I'll cut it.
All right. So I did find the answer from our writer here. As for seasons, thinking of this game like a novel might be best. Last Call will be a complete story, given in incremental chapters, which are episodes. And so that'd be like the dot one, dot two that we're going through. There will be later seasons in the same world as Last Call with some of your favorite characters, but it may be a different time period with slightly different versions of the characters you know and love.
I think that makes our next question RJK's.
It does. So RJK had the question for the graphics designer, being me. Would you like to have him? I would like to have an answer on a future stream. Is Zora the inspiration for the looks of Joe? And so I can tell you that only one character was inspired by anybody in real life, and that was Max, that I was told to make look as close to Sam Elliott as I possibly could without a direct ripoff. And I think we kind of nailed that. But other than that, Joe, anybody else, any resemblance to anybody in real life or famous people or anything is purely coincidence. I didn't intend it at all when I was.
I'm wondering if we should have that as a goddamn disclaimer at the beginning.
I'm tempted.
Shit. Let's see. RJ get another one. Will you add in future updates choices options during lewd seeds? For example, if MC really want a cream pie or do her in the butt or come anywhere else. I I think Inkwell answered this. The short version is I don't think that's off the table, I believe was the answer, but
So the answer is it's not completely off the table. It's actually more with me because then it's an extra set of renders, potentially animations, which by the way came up in another question. So I'll just go ahead and answer it now. And so for those of you getting the replay, this is going a lot smoother than the original live stream. So you're welcome. But I do want to say that. And so for those who suffered through the live stream,
I think they
sorry,
had fun.
but I have had a little bit more time to connect my thoughts, and I think we all had fun. Yeah, but we will add some options here and there where it makes some sense. I'm not opposed to it because, again, I don't have to do an animation for every lewd scene or anything like that. But that being said, it is extra work, especially with positioning and things. And just so everybody knows, sex positioning, because two characters that have to line up with a lot of different appendages, including the dick, together are a little bit more troublesome. In fact, sometimes it can take me 45, 50 minutes to get those poses down, along with expressions. So that just can add some significant time, not even counting render time. But again, a writer is open to it where it makes sense, and I'm open to it, assuming it's not going to add an inordinate amount of time to my rendering.
Will there be forced locked interactions between MC and other characters? For example, if I only want Annie, can I turn down the other girls so I don't have to see their story? Yes, that's like 50% a yes, because you are going to get some of their content. Some content is going to be forced just so you get to know them. However, there's no circumstances where you'd be forced into sex. You can literally go this entire game without ever putting your dick in anything. So if you do like a girl and want to remain loyal, you most certainly can. The other thing that we're also doing specifically is you can also have sex with pretty much all of them. I use all of them loosely, and I can't go into why. Up to a certain point. after that, we will make it a point that extracurriculars activities with a girl outside of the one that you prefer is ill advised. And I still hate this question. First update: MC finds out some information about a supposed affair between Fiona and some random dude. Should that be considered NTR?
All together now?
No.
No. But so first of all, I just want to remind everybody that spoiler alert, but when you saw that scene, it was your friend who found the picture on her social media. You didn't see it for whatever reason, but and sent it to you. So she was not sending that direct to try to get you. And there will be more information in our dot two in terms of the relationship, and give you a little bit more insight on how Fee may have considered how things were left versus how the MC might have. So, and then also, need I remind folks that true NTR is somebody going in and stealing your girl who you were with completely and totally against your will, and not a case of your girl deciding to choose someone else.
There's cheating and there's NTR, and no, they are not the same.
Yes. Yep.
All right. How long did it take for you guys to finish Kelly Jo's character model? How many versions, etc.? And could we sometime in the future see different stages of her development? I'm gonna leave this one up to you. Yes, it's your question, but I did want to say this.
Yep.
We didn't show early Kelly Jo in. Oh, we did.
We haven't a channel that we will talk about a bit later. But
no. I meant,
with,
did you want me to throw some in this recording to reference the question? We don't have to.
I do not have any.
No, that's fine. Do we have the original? And I know what you mean by that, Kelly Jo, or did I get rid of all that in an anger-induced rage?
I think we've got it some. I think we've got it.
Tempted to pull
maybe
that out, but maybe not. Yeah, that one.
No.
So I did anger rage. Delete that. All right.
Yes.
Anyway, so you can answer.
So
Sorry,
I will
you
go
can
ahead
answer
and
that question.
I'll start answering. All right. So as far as Kelly Jo's model, it wasn't too bad. Every character went through 2, 3, 4 iterations of varying qualities. KJ, yeah. Well, Fiona went through about 30, but she was extremely difficult, and some were more difficult than the others. Leo was another one that was really difficult just for us to nail down the model. Once we got the model, things came together pretty quick for him. But that we went through a bunch there. Fee in every stage of development was difficult. Kelly Jo wasn't too bad. The thing I remember most was we went through a ton of hairstyles to really find what we wanted for her. That is probably what took the longest. As I recall, we went through 2 or maybe 3 iterations with Kelly Jo. And as far as showing future stages of development, I've dropped some of these in our rooftop channel, which is available to our 30 and up patrons, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on that later.
We did need a shameless plug, though. We had 2 in the stream.
Yeah, but we've got to. We had tons in this actual stream, so I can only do it here in the recap a few times. But definitely, that's something I've put in there. I'll probably put some more. Some almost are so unspeakable when I look back that I really don't want to share, but at some point I'll probably get wasted enough that I can share it. So
I suppose I could really screw with you and probably scroll up in our decades worth of chat in the span of a year and grab some. But Folly said, I know that the harem route doesn't necessarily fit the game, but is there going to be a way to get most, if not all, the sex scenes in a playthrough? We're going to need a bunch of saves and playthroughs to get the majority of the content. I want to say 70 to 75% you'll be able to see if you actively want to go that route. It's just going to be after a certain point when you're encouraged to pick a preference that you would have a save point there. And the thing is, you're definitely going to want to make sure, if that's how you want to do it, where you hit this one final point, that you can then branch from there and not have to have too much time invested in multiple playthroughs. We need to make sure that you say the right things to these characters so you have enough points to even make them an option at that time.
And the only other thing I will add is that as early as this next release, .2, there's already a branching sex scene that plays out
Yep.
differently depending on how you've interacted before. So that's the only thing I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil anything. So there are certainly issues where you would go ahead and you wouldn't miss out on a full sex scene, but it would play out differently depending on how you had treated that person before.
In asked if there was a gallery planned. I guess I don't think I answered this a little bit different on the stream, but so I'm going to clarify. Not currently planned, but it is something that's probably going to happen. I don't want to make any guarantees. I don't think it's too difficult. I'm willing to bet I have resources I can reach out to for help. But overall, I don't think it's definitely not out of the wheelhouse. Is there an estimate on how long the game will take to complete? A couple years versus many years?
I've got one. So yes, when President Chelsea Clinton is finishing her third term, you can expect this to be finished. But no, we're right now. I believe we kind of gamed it out, and obviously it's all dependent on how quickly we can get releases out. But what we estimated was probably a little bit over 2 years with the current content. Again, some of that subject to change a little bit because while the story's basically overarching written, there may be areas where our writer decides to add more content, and we have to stretch that out over 2 episodes where we thought that would be 1, and that sort of thing could happen. But I think we're looking at right around the 2.5-year time frame from basically January of
bouncing off of what Roy said in regards to content changing. The interesting thing is the best stories are the ones that write themselves. And as weird as that sounds, I know some have heard me say that or something along the lines of when you deal with characters and they start writing the story for you, that's what you want. And that's already been happening with Mr. Inkwell. He has said a couple times that it's not going the way he initially anticipated. And that's not a bad thing. This is what you want. You want this to happen. Stories flow more naturally, things like that. When you're not forcing the characters, like if you're trying to make something work with a character, there's a good chance you shouldn't. You have to step back and think, what would the character do? And that's already happening in the .2. So let's see. Next question. If not a gallery or sexual interaction with girls be repeatable, it's going to be the gallery. Repeatable is not. I mean, are there really any games that have repeatable, or did fall, or do you
short of a gallery?
Did folly mean like you can repeat through the thing as much as you want until you hit done?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I don't know about. I definitely don't know about that one. I think we just do a gallery.
Probably not. Yep.
Is Orbiter coding drunk or sober? The story that I gave, I'll elaborate a little bit more. Short answer, sober. Long answer, I used to. A buddy and I would get together. We called it beer night. And we would usually do like a little bit of gaming or just hanging out. And then we started doing, this is the same guy I've talked about before, the super dev. He has this ability to just like pound 2 drinks and be done. Once I start drinking, I don't stop till it's bedtime. Anyways, we would get together and do stuff, and I'd code for a little bit, and then I was just too drunk and didn't, couldn't think right, and it just, accomplished much. I may have like a drink while coding, but generally the thing with me, while I'm pretty much a functional alcoholic, if I have a project, something to work on, I don't think about drinking. Like, when I back in December, I did a massive overhaul of pretty much every desktop in my house and built another one. I barely drank for about a week just because I was so busy I didn't think about it. It'd be like end of the night. Yeah.
So basically you're a bored drunk, I guess.
Yeah. And I am a social drunk too, though. Like I'll go to the bar and have fun with people, but no, so no, definitely sober. Short answer. I do not drink and code, because it won't get accomplished. The one thing I would say to like Roy as a difference, I don't think you drink as much or as often as I do, but like you could probably do that beer too while you're posing and then let it render and then pose an extra one. It's not, I would say maybe it's not as intense technically, but then again, it probably is because it's minute changes and a slip would fuck up. And so no, it's probably just as bad for you.
It It all depends. So if I'm doing something, in a scene where it's mostly just some simple pose changes and expressions and rotating the camera around a bit, totally I could be several beers in and it really
Damn,
wouldn't
you're
affect
good.
me. But if I'm doing a scene setup or something, then I will either not touch a drink or I'll do like Zoro. I'll have like one maybe on my second drink. And then when I'm saying second, I'm talking like we're talking a drink an hour, well spacing these out. So
Spacing. The hell does that mean?
let's get to our next question. I've scrolled down here. So this is from K Storm. How divergent is the story going to be? How unique will the different routes end up being? And our lovely writer, Mr. Inkwell, answered this down just past RJK's answer there, or RJK's next
I'm trying to
question. Sorry.
see, did we jump? Because Inkwell responded to some degree. My thought is on interaction. I was trying to figure out where that tied back to.
So that was back when they were talking about will there be content we can
Oh,
avoid
so we
with
covered it.
characters
So we
if
don't
we
need
want
to read it.
to do
Okay.
them. Yep, we did.
Okay, so that's where I was stuck. So bring me forward then. Where are we? Okay.
All right, so I'll go ahead and read Equal's answer. So K Storm's question again was how divergent is the story going
Oh,
to
there it
be?
is.
How
Okay. Yep.
unique will the different routes end up being? And so writer's response there's a main plot happening with Uncle Max in the bar, which will be pretty consistent throughout any of the routes. Again, there will be certain social interactions that will be the main story, bar interactions, events, that sort of thing. But there will be a decent amount of variety if you decide to pursue the love interest from there and your interactions and payoffs. Wink, wink, nod, nod, with them. As Roy said earlier, we will make it very apparent when you can officially turn down a love interest, but the main aim here is that your playable content won't be that much shorter if you decide not to go with a given love interest. The end will be pretty apparent, as well as the choices you will need to make in order to choose your ending, and the various endings will play out to a small degree. They will not just be simple slideshows. And, of course, this is his first branching narrative as far as story writing goes, so we'll see. Hope you all be satisfied by the end. And our writer says they are not one to shortchange a good story.
Okay.
And then K Storm's other question, and then we'll get to RJK's here. You have some pretty impressive rewards as options, such as the comics and the renders, that must take some extensive time out of development. Is the numbers for these in flux as you figure out what makes sense? And I mean, if anybody's been following our Patreon for the last few months, they know that, have there been changes, right?
Yeah.
So we've been trying to find a balance because ultimately we want to reward folks for sticking with us and, ponying up more than the minimum of to get the game at this point, $5 a month. And we don't want people jumping ship in between releases too much, as that can kind of mess with earnings and that sort of thing. So, trying to figure out a way to make sure everybody's happy, getting a good amount of content. And the comics do take a decent amount of time, although not as long as people would expect, because once I get the script from the writer, that makes my life a bit easier. And so it can be anywhere from a day to like 3 to 4 days to do the comics. And that's not like full days because I have a full-time job. So that would be like evenings typically to get those done. But we're obviously judging on how our capacity is for all these sorts of things. But it's definitely it's definitely something that we constantly look at in terms of rewards and how much time it's taking away from the main game, because the main game is our focus. That being said, I'll just tell you right now that if I worked on the game like nonstop, I would pull my hair out, because while you do get some variety from the scenes, at some point it's just nice to kind of have a break. And so the comics typically provide that, as well as some of the extra patron rewards we have.
So I think RJK, you might as well read and explain his too, since it's art based.
Yeah, so RJK's question references the question earlier, which was, are you going to be able to have an option like, cream pie, anal, doggy, different positions, that sort of thing? And so his question is, since animations are time consuming, would you have to animate them? And the answer is no. I'm going to tell you all a little secret that's not so much of a secret, and that's that animations in DAZ is just terrible. They're horrible. They suck. There's no great way to do them. Basic things that you would expect for 3D animations, all sorts of tools, DAZ does not have, or they don't work well, or they just don't work well from scene to scene. So there's a whole lot of manual work, testing, and animations, because it renders out each frame. For a second of animation, that's 30 frames. So it's basically 30 renders for an animation, which is, as you can imagine, quite a bit of work for a render rig. So um, it is just crazy the amount that goes into that. And I'm just going to tell everybody that are looking forward to all fancy sex animations. Those are, again, difficult to do. I'm happy to do them. I'm trying. I'm working on getting better. I've got some potential tools to help with this. But if you're looking for the standard, animations that you get in DAZ from a lot of other creators, you're going to be sorely disappointed with me because most of those aren't up to my standards. I don't care for them. I don't think they really add anything to the story. And so I'm going to try to add animations that enhance the story in some way that just a static image would not. So, for example, if you've played Dot One, you've caught the Annie eye roll animation and the wave, and I think that kind of adds something because the wave can be somewhat conveyed from a static image. I tried to do the eye roll with a static image and it did not go well. So I try to look for animations, even though they're not repeatable, that just enhance the story as far as that goes. And I'm going to shut up because it was a
No, don't
long-winded
worry
answer.
about it. I just. Okay. There was had a quick question I saw. In cases, in this case, is there a secret ending? Storm bounced off, or like an ending that you don't tell people about? No, we have no intention of hiding anything. It's going to be plain as day what your endings are. There's not going to be any like if you get the right numbers, you get to have a 5-way with all the girls or something, or how many girls? 4-way, 5-way, 10-way? I don't know. Henway. 3 pounds. Inkwell did answer more extensively as far as the world. There will be no endings that offer more about the world. Endings will be up to the player and reveal kind of how the main character and their ally end up, as well as some of the other supporting characters. A world reveal will be in the main story as much as we can. We are hoping to do an occasional Easter egg. Check out the drinks contest on Patreon if you haven't. But all main reveals info will be part of the game. Given the variety of love interest we have planned and the possible rejections of allies and finding more branches endings are beginning to appear, I believe and hope there will be something to satisfy everyone. And again, that was Inkwell's answer. At that point, we did. I'll tell you what. I'll just do that again. I'll do the quick tease of images here. Shit. Where's my fuck?
Well,
Yeah.
while you pull that up, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Storm's final, or one of the final questions here. Any plan to switch to Cinema 4D or Blender for the animations? And so that, those are both options. There's Maya, which is really kind of the gold standard for that sort of thing, although they also pay, so you have to have like your weight in gold to pay for it. But Cinema 4D is not cheap either. So Cinema 4D, talking to other artists, is not going to work. There's just too many issues, especially converting from DAZ assets and stuff. Blender, there's some folks out there. Damiak comes to mind in terms of folks that have gone down that route. They've had to really trailblaze and do a lot. My thought is that if I ever went down that road, I could probably save myself some time because they've got a lot of stuff figured out. But they've been really helpful in their guidance so far. So I don't see why they wouldn't be willing to share some insights and some stuff to make that switch easier. But I'm going to tell you the unfortunate thing about any plans to switch, because trust me, I get frustrated with DAZ, and my render engine, which is Octane, provides a little bit for me better quality and some more options than DAZ's render engine Iray, just FYI. But as frustrated as I get with those, there would be a 3 to 6 month just gap in me having to convert things, learn how things work, get a workflow, make sure everything's set up with my systems. I mean, these are deep, complex systems, and I'm going to be honest, I don't have a big background in 3D animation, so or 3D rendering, period, as some of you who've seen my early work can certainly attest. So because of that, we really don't want to do that for the game. So any sort of transition would be a really long-term thing, because I just have to try to get it where it just maybe stretches out a couple extra weeks each release, and that makes it even longer, and then trying to remember. So at this point, I'm trying to avoid that here. So unless the DAZ issues get significant, or folks just say I'm stopping pledging because I can't get I can't get the animations I want, I'm not going to consider that time, especially when all of us are part-time here. I've got a busy day job at this point, especially, and so it's just not something I really have much time or even brain power to devote to.
Okay. So these five images that have been cycling the last during Roy's answer, these are exclusives that have only shown up. I have a hair in my mouth on Rooftop. We'll go back to the other ones now, but this is something we showed during the stream too. So
And I'll talk a little bit more about Rooftop here in a second. But RJK's question, assuming there'll be more love interest incoming, how long down the line will it take before they're introduced?
it is kind of a tough question
And
though, because introduced and yes,
playable as a
that
love
that.
interest. Yeah, so we're not the introduction of them will not take massively long, and I can't say more than that. But we're not looking at like 12
No.
months down the road, right? But in terms of you being able to actually do your romance thing with them, probably going to be a little bit longer. And at this point, I just can't say because even our writers trying to figure out the exact time because we've had to move some other things around in the story.
Yep, that 100%. But yeah, we don't have all our allies in a row yet. So once all have been introduced, we confirm who they all are and which are just special friends throughout the story versus ending line stories. Yes, we will make it clear who's who. The interesting thing is, while we won't take any allies away, some may end up upgraded. I think we said that on the stream.
Mm-hmm. And do you have this is from K-Storm again, do you have a number of renders you're expecting to have to make for .2 and future updates, or is 100% based on how you're feeling? So short answer is that a lot of it is done for me by the writer. They'll kind of post where they want different images. I have some discretion there in terms of adding or subtracting. And basically, I want to get a good amount of renders to make you feel that you can have experienced the different emotions and what fills out a scene. And so when I first get the script, I'll go through and place where I think renders need to be and get a rough count. But as the development team can attest, I've had times where I've said, oh, the scene's 80 renders, and then it ends up being 70. Or this scene was going to be 30 renders, and now it's 40, 35, or 40, or something like that. So for .2, I can say that it's going to be bigger than .1 by well over 100 renders. If we were at the same number of renders as .1 total, I would be done by now with .2 basically, except for working out some animation issues. So, and I imagine the updates, will get a little bit bigger here and there,
oscillate,
but
I'm sure.
a lot of it is up to the writer too, right? How much they feel that needs to be expressed. And so if our writer feels that he only needs to, cover these scenes and they're shorter in renders, then you might have a shorter release. But that's just the way things go.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really, in fairness, it's first dependent on the amount of content that the writer makes. And Roy, you've set out and like, all right, I think I want to do, we'll make these. And then you start looking back and you'll pull stuff because the big thing Roy has done is if it doesn't serve a purpose, he's pulling it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no point in just having quality over quantity. Even if the renders are always really good, it's still unnecessary quantity is unnecessary, and it just adds to the size of the file anyway, or to the size of the game anyway. If it's not needed, why have it?
And I mean, you only need like 5 renders of Joe's dick to get the idea. You don't need to go 10. So.
Oh shit! Boy, you went nuts in Rooftop today. That was not a plug. I just looked in there for the first time today, and Jesus Christ, in the last hour.
Yeah, so we'll take a brief intermission and then we'll wrap up the questions. I don't think there's too much left anyway. But Rooftop's a special channel. Again, you can get access to it if you're a $30 or more month patron. Although for most people, unless you wanted a custom render or a custom comic, you're going to be at that 30 tier. So that makes sense. And what that gets you is I'm not too active in the regular Discord. I just don't have much reason to go in, and I'm not too big a Discord person anyway. But for Rooftop, tend to reveal a few more secrets since it's kind of a tighter knit group, and I will post works in progress as well as finished renders as well as some exclusives. So usually in a given month, just depending on workload and what I'm doing, you're going to get some exclusives, usually 4 to 6 at least. This month has been an especially busy month, but towards the end. But I think they've gotten probably 25 or 30 at this point that we'll never see. And then you'll also get stuff access to it well before anybody else usually. So you might get some previews that will make it in our .2, but you're seeing them a month and a half before .2 is released. Now, it's not like a full scene or anything, but an image here or there, maybe even an animation preview. And then also things that I do for Instagram. So, for example, got 66 done for Marguerite to post starting in April. That'll take her a good 2 months at least to move through. Whereas Rooftop has gotten to see several of those in advance. So some of it's just early
and
access.
They get to see some that are from the same scene but can't be shown on Insta.
Yes. Yes, that's another good point. Is some of the exclusives are, I get a wild hair and say, oh, well, I want to do this, but man, she'd look good topless. Well, if you're familiar with Instagram rules, you cannot do that. So, but I will do the render and then throw it into Rooftop so folks can take a look there. And again, we're Rooftop, like all of Discord, I mean, it's not restricted. You could save the image to your folder, put it as a desktop background, or look at it later. It's not like we're preventing any of that. But, I want to give those folks who invest a little bit more in us a little bit extra stuff.
No, it's a fun channel. I look at that one quite a bit. just to see what you put out for the day. Oh shit. Let's see, how did I? Okay, so assuming the moral is coming down the wrong lines for introduced. Too long yet, we addressed that. Here's more special. Okay, the games they've done it before kind of rush through the development of the character to get them up to speed with the rest of the LIs. With how early they're going and the planned the time frame at which all the LIs will be shown and the amount of updates after is very significant, like a 3-to-1. So it won't be rushed story or forced or anything like that. Storm asked, so if you say they will have an ending that's going to be maintained, even if it's only 1 in 20, yeah, if we say they're going to have an ending, they're going to have an ending. I don't know if we'll have anything remotely close to 20 endings, but I mean, off the top of my head, I want to say 8, and that's 4 with duplicating that with 1 minor change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you end up following Max?
Yeah, no, and but you also can end up alone, and no, you can't follow Max.
And have you guys been quarantined or curfewed yet?
As of today, so when we did this the first time, we had the scare the day. When we did the stream the day before, there was a concern our governor was going to have us do, what is it? What's that called, right? I always want to say stand your ground, but that's castle doctrine. It's essentially more permanent stay at home than we've already been given, I guess. You can only technically leave your house for groceries, medical, and that's pretty much it.
Shelter in place.
Thank you. Shelter in place. And then we thought it was going to happen today, and it didn't. However, our governor now has to self-quarantine because one of his security detail ended up testing positive for COVID-19.
And from Southern Command, I will say that we had our governor impose some new restrictions today, as well as extend the time that schools will be teaching kids remotely well farther than what they originally said. I mean, it's not unexpected, but we have not gone into any sort of shelter in place or additional quarantine measures. Otherwise, the stuff that did happen today really doesn't affect me, except one is closing the hair salons, and I, to be fair, do need to get my hair cut, but I've gone months before, so it'll be another fun time, I guess. So we're just kind of waiting it out. I did brave Costco on Sunday, and that was like being in a zombie apocalypse, but I made it out. So.
Any bites?
No, thankfully we maintained social distance, but I did get some hissing.
So Storm had another good question. Will there be forced? Oh, sorry. Before that was in. Should we expect
Yeah.
any drama? Not, and I know what he's getting at, and not in the, if you will, this isn't fair, but not in the like stereotypical VN sense as people have come to expect. The drama is going to be logical. It's already been established. If you can't see where that's going, I'm not sure how to help.
So I'm just going to say something because I joke about this sometimes. Is Annie walking out and getting hit by a bus as she's leaving work? That sort of thing is not actually going to happen.
Or her dropping trowel and showing a bigger dick.
Yes, exactly. That too, right? So yes. So she'll keep the dick she has. Joke, people. Joke. But yes, we're not going to A, do it just for drama's sake, and B, you don't have to worry that KJ is going to come down with cancer or something like that.
Nothing is going to come out of left field. Everything is going to be traceable.
Yes. Yep.
Let's see. Next question. So then to Storm, would there be forced conflicts? Things that aren't foreshadowed or may not make sense? No. Let me put it this way. If that happens, it's not intentional. We have no intention of pulling stuff out of our ass just for the sake of drama. I'm not to shit directly on another game, but I've seen it happen a few times. And I don't have a problem with drama if it makes sense. Like I said, if you can track it, if it's quantifiable and it makes sense, I don't have a problem with it. If it's there just to prolong the story, like if we hit 18 updates, which we won't, but if we did, we would have to heavily question what we were doing, solely because you have to, I almost feel like at that point you either have really tiny updates or you'd be shoving stuff in there that doesn't make sense. And that's not what we want to do. And again, it's not what Inkwell wants to do. Good luck getting that guy to write a bad story. You'd have better luck making a river go the other direction.
And the next question, if we scroll down, is from RJK, really. Since you're a writer, Inkwell, how do you feel towards knowing that some of us will be playing this game once and then be content? And then Inkwell answer a couple lines further down.
I'm going to use Inkwell's response to the drama questions, drama and forced conflict. Stories are really satisfying without some kind of conflict or stakes. Not everything will be happy. We can't expect character story growth otherwise. But a good story is satisfying. So it's to elaborate on that, not that anybody's going to care, I'm going to say it anyway. Your highs and lows have to match, and generally you always end on a high. But if everything is happy-go-lucky, and I am going to say this because I'm not picking on it, but like WVM, there's so very little like actual badness going on for a large chunk of that game. But it has other things in excessive amount that makes it work. So it's kind of one of those odd scenarios. But we're going for we're trying to write the sliciest of lifeiest game ever, in the sense that it's plausible. Something that you really could walk down the street into a small town, go in there, see a young guy working in a bar, hear about a sick uncle, hear about his girlfriend that might be cheating on him, and none of that throws a red flag. You just go, fuck, that's life. So back on to, you said it was RJK's question?
Yeah, so RJK asked, since you're a writer, Inkwell, how do you feel towards knowing that some of us will be playing this game once and then be content? And Inkwell's is responded direct to RJK right after.
There will be a choice made to turn characters. Okay, we'll have to come back to that one then too. All right, so RJK is there. This is where the challenges come in for me, Inkwell. I am now essentially writing 3 or 4 stories or possible branches. My aim is to make all of that make sense, to make all of them natural and reasonable. It's going to be quite the task for me. This is not something he's ever done. His is long form writing. Novels is what he's familiar with. But he plans to do his damnedest. In short, I'm okay with the fact that some of you are only going to see one story. It's fine. My aim is that it will be satisfying regardless of your route. We do have to jump back real quick because sorry.
Well, I think you pretty much covered that.
Though. The response to K-Storm.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've pretty much beat that dead horse. So. And then I'm just looking through. So the final real question came in from K-Storm. Can we get each person on the team to make a render at some point and have a contest to see if we can guess who made what? And if I recall, and I'll let you fill in here, Zor, that's pretty much impossible because nobody else on the team has any experience with Daz. And anybody who's ever tried to fool with Daz, even to make a basic thing, it's just, I mean, the only thing that would be obvious is a render I created versus anybody else. That would be the only thing. Other than that, you would pretty much have no idea, because they would not even know how to pose or something. Now, Equel did offer to do a sketch, sculpt, and maybe draw some tits, so maybe that'll happen down the road, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'll just the next time I have a custom from Philly, I'll share the crappy pre-made drawing.
There you
go. Let's see. So I think that technically was it. Like I said, we had
I mean, anything else you want to say to wrap up? I guess the one thing I'll say is I think this was asked on the stream or something, somewhat in reference to release date, not saying release when, but that sort of thing. And I've just had an insanely busy past couple of months with real world job, and the coronavirus is not helping things and me slowing down. So it's the creative process. When I'm stressed or super busy, it's a little tough to get some stuff out. I've still got those comics. I did finish the Loot Render set since we last had this Q&A, so that's done. And I've still got a couple small rewards to get ready for April. But past that, then it'll be game renders back for me. So it's just a matter of how quick I can get through them. And it's always tough to say, because we can have technical problems. Sora knows about my issues last night again with Daz, where I'm troubleshooting some new stuff with some equipment issues yet again that I thought I had ironed out. And so, some days things go swimmingly. I can get several renders done, and other days it's a struggle to get any done, or I'm just too exhausted. And I definitely want to take care of my health and not burn out. So I'm trying to do that, while understanding that, trust me, guys, we're not trying to milk you for money. We want to get the game and episodes out to you as soon as we humanly can. It's just the joys of being part-time on this. With I think pretty much all of us have fairly demanding day jobs too.
Yours has gotten significantly worse with this outbreak. Once that's gone, I think a lot of things are going to change again.
Yeah, once everybody starts turning into rabid zombies, I should have plenty of time to hold myself up and render, so we'll be good.
Just surround your house with treadmills facing the wrong way.
With that blaring, I would walk 5,000 miles.
Okay, so if that does wrap it up, I don't have much else to say, I don't think. I am excited for the release, but I do know we're going to be a bit. We've got... oh, shit, I have to... I got to go work on the Lude set. All right, well, that's what I'm off to do. So sorry again to everyone who missed the stream. Hopefully this recovers it a little bit. At least we got the questions answered and recorded.
I wanted to answer your questions.
So next time, I won't make the same mistake. I have a backup in place. So if I forget to hit the record button locally, it records in the cloud anyway. So I think we're in for, well, if you're watching this, thanks. If not, well, I guess not really. I don't know. I'm fucking out of it today.
It's Monday. And we all had good weekends in some senses. And but again, guys, we really appreciate everybody who tuned in live. We appreciate those who are listening after. We know some of you it's easier to make than others, but just know that usually towards the end of every month, that either final or next to final Saturday is when we try to do these things kind of in the afternoon. And the reason we do that is, at least the afternoon for us here in America, is for our folks in European time zones can still make it before they go to bed. And get their questions answered and go live. And I really appreciate too that. So we had a bunch more people show up this time
to our
Q&A. It was really fun to do, and I really appreciate everybody's interest, and also those of you that when we had to reveal that we didn't record it, were very sad for missing it. It makes us feel good that at least you liked it, and so hopefully you like this, and it was worth the extra couple days wait to get it to you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we will. See you on the next stream, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bye.